And after that announcement, this meeting is again being recorded. Thank you for joining us tonight. It has been called to order due to the quorum being met. The second item on the agenda just is due an explanation. Unfortunately, due to personal circumstances, Mr. Silver could not make it tonight, and we send good thoughts toward him and his family. So we have a heavy closed session item that we must get through after reporting. So thank you. As we move along, the next action item is we want to say thank you for all the guests that are here tonight, online and in person. Next action item is to review the minutes and approve. To approve the minutes. I'll thank again for everyone. Thank you for everyone that is here, both civilians and law enforcement, online and offline. Thank you for being here tonight. To approve the September 18th meeting minutes. Is there a motion to do so?
I move the minutes from September 18th meeting be approved.
Second.
You have a second? Any other comment on it before we go to a vote? All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. So that September 18th meeting minutes are approved. Next action item, of course, is to review and approve the agenda for tonight's meeting, October 16th. Is there a motion to approve tonight's meeting? Agenda, I should say, excuse me.
I move that we approve the agenda for tonight.
Second.
Second?
Second?
We have a second already? All right, all those, any comments before we move on to a vote? All those in favor with approving tonight's agendas, October 16th, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Or thumbs up, whatever you can online. Any nays? The ayes have it. All right. All right. Next action item, of course, is the chair's report. The board will be responding to the law enforcement agency's response to our August 22nd invitation to Tacoma Park. They sent a response dated September 15th that was scheduled to be in the third quarter September 18th meeting. The board has had a chance to review that September 15th letter, and we would like to read the response. Excuse me. Roger that. I don't think I have that. Is it in the packet? Thank you. I must look for it. I don't have anything. Thank you. Roger that. What I'm going to do first, of course, just for dexterity and for everyone who are listening to be able to follow along, the August 22nd letter of invite, I'll read that first, and then there I'll read the September 15th response to that August 22nd invitation, and then we will read for the record the PAB's response to that September 15th. All right, memorandum, August 22nd, 2025, to Chief Antonio Duval, Tacoma Park Police Department, from the Montgomery County Police Accountability Board. Subject questions for the Chief to the Tacoma Park Police Department in advance of the Police Accountability Board on September 18, 2025. The Police Accountability Board must meet with the directors of one or more law enforcement agencies operating in the county on a quarterly basis pursuant to Section 3524 Gulf 1 of Montgomery County Code. We welcome you to the third of these quarterly meetings for 2025, which will be held on Thursday, September 18th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Isaiah I. Leggett Executive Office Building, 101 Monroe Street, 6th floor, Convenience Room, Rockville, Maryland, 20850. In the spirit of fostering an open and productive discussion, members of the board invite you to consider the enclosed questions in advance of the public meeting. The questions for the Chief of the Tacoma Park Department, the questions are closed. Again, you will see this live on the site. We'll just read everything that was sent out. Question one, could you please share your agency's perspective on regarding the use of the term excited delirium? If this term is currently referenced within the Tacoma Park Police Department, do you intend to initiate its removal from the relevant policy? Should this section be taken, should this action be taken, will you provide guidance on which policy should presently govern officers' conduct and advise employees to refrain from referencing excited delirium in their duties, reports, or official documents? Question number two, how does your department view the potential value of collecting and analyzing aggregated officer data such as tenure, rank, and other non-identifying information as part of complaint tracking? Do you see opportunities for this type of data to inform training, staffing, or policy decisions within your department? Would this require adjustments to your department's record-keeping system, or do you see it as manageable within current workflows? Are there particular concerns or barriers you anticipate to share this type of data in the subsidized from across agencies? Question number three, if aggregated officer data were incorporated into the standardized form countywide, what outcomes would you most like to see for your department? Do you believe this data could help with early intervention strategies, officer support programs, or targeted training efforts? Number four, what is your perspective on the utilization of artificial intelligence, AI, in policing? Does the Tacoma Park Police Department currently use any AI tools? Number five, the news has reported that a former dispatcher for the Tacoma Park Police Department reached a $1 million settlement with the city of Tacoma Park regarding her claims of sexual harassment. The Tacoma Park City Council has taken action to address investigations of future allegations of sexual harassment. Can you please share with us the new revised measures and/or actions your department is taking to ensure sexual harassment does not occur? Number six, Tacoma Park implemented a pilot program involving the use of mental health counselor to respond to mental health calls. How will the mental health counselor work with your department? What duties and responsibilities do you foresee the counselor undertaking? Will the counselor accompany officers on all calls reporting someone experiencing a mental health crisis? That's the last question. September 15th, before the September 18th, third quarterly meeting. The board received a response from the Tacoma Park Police Department, along with all 9 of the state of the other municipality chiefs. And I'll read all those names when we get there. City, it says here, of course, the Police Accountability Board questions of the chief of the Tacoma Park Police Department in advance of the meeting with PAD meeting September 18th, dated August 22nd, 2025. Dear Chair Walker, Vice Chair, at that time it was Mr. Kellner, and members of the board, on behalf of the Tacoma Park Police Department and all of the undersigned law enforcement agencies, and we will read those names, this letter responds to you, I guess it would say, to your August 22nd, 2025 letter sent to the TDPD referenced above. Pursuant to section 35-24 G1 of the Montgomery County Code of the Police Accountability Board, must meet with the directors of one or more law enforcement agencies operating in the county on a quarterly basis in advance of the public meeting with the Tacoma Park Department scheduled for September 18th. The PAB sent several questions to Tacoma Park to answer in advance of the meeting. The questions posed by the PAB to the TPPD are outside the scope of Montgomery County Code Section 35-24 and Maryland Police Accountability Board Act, specifically Maryland Public Safety Code Section 3-102. The PAB's legislative mandate is to review the results of disciplinary matters and identify any trends in the disciplinary process of police officers in the county and make recommendations on changes to policies that would improve police accountability. The PAB is also charged with working with law enforcement agencies to review, provide policy advice, and report on disciplinary matters stemming from public complaints about police misconduct. We request that the PAB resubmit questions for the September 18th quarterly meeting with the Tacoma Park Police Department. We request the question be related to the outcomes and trends of disciplinary matters considered county law enforcement agencies, also be related to the outcomes and trends of disciplinary matters concerned or considered by the ACC. It would be helpful to be informed on trends you are seeing in complaints, issues you may have, identify potential training deficiencies, and anything else the PAB is garnered from reviewing of the complaints received and adjudicated that would improve police accountability and service delivery. The joint goal between the PAB and the law enforcement is to improve the quality of service provided to the community through transparency, improved accountability, training, and complaint data-informed process or policy changes. We believe submitting questions that conform to the statutory mandate of the PAB for discussion at quarterly meetings will lead to tangible results. Thank you for your understanding and continued partnership. Of course, signed by Chief Antonio B. Duvall, Sheriff Maxwell Wee, Chief Mark Yamada, Chief Mark Soroka, Chief John Neske, Chief Jason West. And that letter was sent us to on the September 15th, 3 days before the September 18th quarterly meeting. The PAB did not have a chance at that time as a board to review and to have a response to that response. So today we just want to read that response, have it a motion to have it placed in the record and online. pursuant to the past responses to that September 15th response from all of the LEAs that were read of the chiefs, pursuant to the Code of Maryland Regulations 12-04-09-03, the Montgomery County Police Department, the Montgomery County Police Accountability Board is a civilian-led oversight body established to promote public accountability and transparency over the powers exercised by law enforcement agencies. In accordance with Maryland Code Public Safety Article 3-102, the PAB remains committed to holding quarterly meetings with heads of law enforcement agencies and otherwise work with law enforcement agencies and the county government to improve matters of policing that are vital to ensuring transparency and accountability across the Montgomery County law enforcement agencies. While perspectives may differ on how best to achieve these goals, the board will continue to seek information and engage in dialogue that supports our oversight responsibilities. We strongly encourage community members to attend and participate in our monthly public meetings, as well as our quarterly sessions with local law enforcement agencies. Your involvement is essential to a transparent and accountable policing system. Is there a motion to add everything?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that we submit the written response to the record.
Okay.
I'll second it.
There's a second. Any discussion before we take a vote? Is that, you're raising your hand, you have a word or something, Ken?
Yes, and I do support the motion, but I want to commend you and the vice chair and whoever else contributed to drafting this measured and perfectly appropriate response. And which is reading it and consistent with our goals of transparency as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else before we move to a vote? A motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor with adding everything read, August 22nd, August 15th, and of course tonight's response to the record, raise your hand or either say aye. Are there any nays? The ayes have it. To our staff, all that will be uploaded and recorded.
We'll need a copy of the document, and we can have it added to, you want to put it as a letter, as a memorandum, where do you want it placed?
So,
Yeah,
it's a statement.
if you can, I think, upload as a part of the package of responses that we received, just be our statement, uploaded accordingly.
Okay, so add it to the contents of the next agenda.
No, just, I think we're referring just simply to the document being online as a resource from the previous agenda. This is the document in response for this agenda. You can attach it to this current agenda, but the idea would be to provide all of the responses in the same package.
Right, so that you would want all of the documents collectively attached to the next agenda.
Yep, that works.
Right, we're just clarifying that versus putting it up in your letters and recommendations section as a
Memorandum.
more formal.
I think the agenda will be fine.
Yeah,
It's
that'd be
part
fine.
of the minutes
Mhm,
of this
mhm,
meeting.
Exactly.
We all,
By minutes,
Right.
right,
Not the agenda.
right, minutes.
Minutes of most recent meetings as they come.
Of this one.
Yes, this one, yes. We all understanding that, members? Understand the question and answer to that? So that, in other words, everything will be then made public for everyone to see what happened from the 18th and responses to now. And because both entities showed sincere transparency in wanting everybody to understand what happened on the 18th. The meeting we had was a congenial and workable meeting, so we want everybody in the public to see that we are working together in a transparent way. So, all right, so that motion has been made. Unfortunately, again, the next action item, our read was timed for the guest speaker, but unfortunately, again, Mr. Silver could not make it. So at this time, we will move to the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll begin with the monthly complaint report. Ms. Byers, if you please.
Yes, the monthly complaint report for September 20th, 2025. We received 4 complaints entered into the portal. 4 were defined as eligible by Montgomery County Department of Police and are currently under investigation. We received 12 through other methods. 1 was defined as eligible by Montgomery County Sheriff's Office and is currently under investigation. 3 were defined as eligible by the Rockville City Police Department and are currently under investigation. 8 were received by Montgomery County Department of Police and are currently under investigation. That concludes my report. Mr. Gilman.
Thank you. The action items from our prior meeting, the board sought a downloadable version of the case viewer for manual manipulation of data. That was accomplished September 12th and has been expanded upon in conference with the members of the data working group. Board sought copies of the annual reports for counties throughout the state. That was completed September 19th. It's been provided to members. In the event that we were unable to locate a jurisdiction's annual report for a given year, which did occur for a few smaller counties, you will find an empty text file in that folder noting the year and the county. So PAB _ AR22 _ Hartford _ no report found means exactly what it sounds like, that there was no report found for Hartford County in 2022, for example. Also included were the annual reports of the Prince George's County Administrative Charging Committee. That body is not compelled by statute to issue annual reports, but it elects to as part of its part of that county's implementation of the program. Next is scheduling and listening for ad hoc group meetings. That is pending confirmation of group members and the host organizations. A reminder to complete the mandatory monthly security trainings. Our board, everyone in the program, but the board and the committee are attached to the county executive's office for the purposes of the IT security insurance. So it behooves everyone to make sure they keep up with those, both for making sure the county can stay safe in terms of its digital environment, and also to avoid potential costs that can come from the county not having all people who have access to these systems up to date on their training. And of course, everyone has received copies of those warnings from TEBS saying that if you miss too many of them, they will deactivate your account, and you would lose access to essentially everything except the training portal. So you would no longer be able to reach the PAD SharePoint, for example, or likely your emails. Most of those are pretty quick. Sometimes if you throw a curveball, it can take up to 10 minutes. Annual report reminders. We're on the advisory deadline, September 18th, 2025. Looking to see rough drafts of sections that would be included in the annual report. October 16th, this evening, we'll be bringing you any substantive feedback on sections we have received. Reminder that you are scheduled to vote on final approval of your annual report on December 18th, 2025. The last item that we have, and unfortunately, technology being what it is, we don't have a good way to display it in this room. But the county executive has issued a certificate of appreciation and recognition to former member Catherine Manning for her dedicated service to the Police Accountability Board. She's moved on to serve the community in other ways in a different board in Washington DC. So that will be provided to Ms. Manning. Finally, this item couldn't make it to the agenda because of the timing when the news came. However, anyone who is keeping a very sharp eye on the county council's agendas will have noticed that on the agenda for October 21st, the council is scheduled to determine whether they will approve the county executive's appointment of a new member to the Police Accountability Board to fill Ms. Manning's seat. That is Mr. Richard Rosano, who is here with us as a member of the public this evening. So we'll look forward to hearing the results of that from the council and bringing Mr. Rosano on board, assuming all goes well. That concludes the staff report.
Outstanding. Any questions on that report? Everyone understand where we are? Thank you again, Flores and R. Outstanding. I just want to reiterate that we do pay as a board close attention to the advisory deadline for the drafts for the annual report. We want to keep on. I think we're pretty much on track. So we want to try to get out what we can get out as soon as possible to stay ahead of the deadlines that we set for ourselves. So thank you for everyone's hard work on that, every ad hoc group and every member. Next in the item, and we have time that includes everyone in the room tonight. Action item number 8. I think we do that at the end. Yeah, thank you. Can you? Sorry about that, thank you. Public comment. And we have a good-sized audience tonight, both professional and, I see, well, we have one civilian and all tonight. So, and I'm not sure what I see online. Anybody who have better glasses than I do? But the floor is open to public comment at this time. So, anyone, everyone in the room?
Bishop, if I may, I appreciate you reading those, both of those letters into the record. I would ask on behalf of all the police chiefs and the sheriff and the county that we meet and discuss our differences on what the statutory role is of the PAB is outlined in the letters and your response here this evening, and try to find some common ground here. I don't think this was at the rest with what was read. So I think I would offer that we have a meeting to discuss this in more detail and try to agree upon a path forward at these future quarterly meetings. We could do that as for your consideration. We could do that prior to the next quarterly meeting, or that could be an agenda item if you approve of that at the next scheduled quarterly meeting. And we have all the chiefs and the sheriffs to speak to the individual agencies and to discuss this topic.
Thank you, Chief Sawyer. Thank you very much. I don't want to do one response at a time, so any other public comments? Anyone, please? I don't see any hands raised online, but I can't see everyone. No? All right. Again, thank you, and I'm going to, please correct me if I jump too far out there, Chief Soroka, but I'm thinking that on behalf of all the LEAs present, that request, the PAD was made. And I think that's one of the things that the PAD, we're getting close to the holidays. So we got to try to figure out how that would best be responded. Usually I think one of the cleanest ways to do it is to stay with the fourth quarterly meeting that's set for the chiefs, and that way it's the whole agenda, and that's what we're actually there for. I don't know that quarterly date for the fourth quarter, but that date is, but we'll get back to you.
That's right on the agenda.
Yeah, but we'll get back to you to clarify. I know we have on the 20th, but I want to just clarify that. But we will get back to all of the LAs on what that is, whether, whichever way we go, the communication will go out, it will be public, and that meeting will focus on the September 18th meeting, which was the third quarter meeting. So we'll catch up on that fourth quarter or before, but we'll have a chance to look at it as a board to see when we can do that, and then checking with our staff. Because,
Sorry.
no, please.
Just checking, at least we're not currently in receipt of any other items, of other speakers, for example. That's, I'm not sure if, what the board's preferences are. It looks like in the general annual plan, from the beginning of the year, that was tentatively a date set for a law enforcement meeting, if that's ultimately what you want to use it for.
What date was that?
November 20th, 2025.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you for that, and we'll take that under advisement, and we'll look at that and consider all of that, and as I said, we definitely will get back to you all in a timely manner, because we know how difficult it is to get all the chiefs in one place at the same time, so we'll definitely put something out there to give us the time in considering all of the perfect, and mitigating circumstances, holidays and travel and things like that, so. And possibly, there I even mentioned government shutdowns. But, okay, thank you. I didn't miss anyone. All right, next action item is old business, action item number 9, ad hoc groups on the data and trends, and also proposals of the chair, vice chair, to publish information about the trial board request, agency names, data request, appointment trial, member hyperlink, and appropriate agency pages, and scheduling contract information. So those are pieces of old information. I believe vice chair will have the floor first, and we'll go from there.
Thank you,
Vice
Chair. I'll start at the top with the ad hoc group on data and trends. So just to elaborate on that, the PAB has established an ad hoc group consisting of a few members of the board that are looking specifically at trends received from complaints, but also any additional information that we're gathering from the complaints themselves. This is usually information that we publish in our annual report. So we're just working through the data at the moment. It's important to mention, Forrest, feel free to jump in as you've been helping us out with this. For example, Q3 data is data that we've just received and started to look at. And so there's a little bit of a lag between what we're looking at and when we're receiving the data, but rest assured, by the time the annual report comes in, most of the data will be in, pending Q4 in 2026. If I'm not mistaken, that would be sort of part of our next report. But in essence, we've been able to identify, again, because the data is not entirely available, some of these preliminary information about what trends we're seeing in terms of complaints received, in terms of law enforcement agencies themselves, in terms of the volume of complaints received, the differences between last year and this year, for example, as well as the substance of those complaints, whether they are for courtesy, for use of force, or for any of the categories that we track for complaint information. So as an update, the ad hoc group is working on that and visualizing some of that data so that we can provide all of the information, as accurate information as we can, with our annual report towards the end of this year. Did I leave anything out? Forrest, anything conspicuously missing from that report?
No, Vice Chair, the only thing I would add, I think it was noted to the board by email, but just clarified verbally. That it said the Q3 data was made available first day of Q4. You can see that in the viewer, default viewer, and in the downloadable working viewer, which is where you can also find the working groups charts.
Thank you, Forrest. So with that, I guess I would just conclude by saying more information will become available not only for our law enforcement partners here from what the PAB has analyzed, but to members of the public as well. And we are definitely hopeful that we continue the conversation as it relates to those trends and complaints and disciplinary matters, as well as other matters that we see, from the response, matters of policing in general. And then I'll jump into the next item briefly, which is a request that we received from community to collect information as it relates to trial boards centrally in the PAB website, so that we can serve the public in, again, being a resource for the trial boards that are scheduled across law enforcement agencies and provide that information from our website, sort of aggregated from all the law enforcement agencies. I'll defer to the staff for the technical aspect of what this will entail, but as you can see, the agenda, in essence, what we're trying to assess is a way in which we can provide the agency's name, the date of the request to appoint a trial board member, as well as a link to the agency for scheduling and contact information. So again, more so of a resource to advance our goal of transparency and across the community. And that's the update that we have as of now. I don't know, Forrest, if there's anything we can say about the expected time it will take us to be able to provide that.
Sure. So part of that will depend on the board itself. The minute need to be formally adopted. And there's a couple questions that would have to be answered alongside. So while those three pieces of data are things that we can, that we reliably have access to, the date the trial board members requested, the agency requesting it, and they link to the page that the agency hosts information about trial boards. First, and probably easiest, it's just mostly a question of style, is whether the board wants to use full and formal LEA names in that chart, or if you want to use abbreviations. For the most part, that's easy for a lot of folks to follow. On the other hand, for the Montgomery County Department of Police, their formal name is one that people don't necessarily always immediately recognize, thinking about MCPD. Also, maybe want to consider just from an interface perspective, if people are pulling this up on their phones, which is going to be easier for them to read, which is going to flow properly on various size screens. Which is why you make the table, the harder it is to read. Another question would be about how long the board would want individual rows on that table to stay active. So for the most part, most of the law enforcement agencies, because currently it's for those that have a page set up that provide information on when a trial board has been scheduled. Often that information stays until the trial board is held or withdrawn and is eventually retired. So while the board could choose to keep it on the website permanently, members of the public viewing it may become confused once they click on the link to go to the agency's website and find that there isn't information about that request anymore. As the number of requests increases over time, the page may become crowded if information does not get retired. We don't currently have a means, mechanically, automatically, or compulsively by statute to determine when a trial board is completed. One option would be for the board to seek voluntary answers from trial board members to those trial board members after that member submits an invoice to the county government for performing some sort of trial board service. For example, was this the final hearing, or are you expected to return for a subsequent hearing? Have you received a written opinion from the administrative law judge? If so, can you forward it to the Police Accountability Board's email address? This would give you a sense both of whether the case is still going, whether it's over, and could invite opportunities for you to see some of these written decisions that they come out in a more regular manner. One question that hadn't posed yet in the prior correspondence with the chair and vice chair would be about handling of trial board requests that are withdrawn, where there is no formal findings, there's no opinion, and there's potentially no invoice because the trial board member does not sit. That is, a trial board member is requested, they're scheduled for a particular trial date, and then if the officer decides not to have a trial board, there will be no opinion from the Office of Administrative Hearings. There also may not be a mandatory triggering notice to know for certain that doesn't happen, that the hearing is not going to go forward. So having perhaps just a timer of some kind for how long you want to keep the request active could be helpful.
So just for clarity, for those, of course, here and watching, that information that they're considering posted as a public service, that's information that we will receive from the specific law enforcement agencies. That legitimizes the accuracy of the information that we're about to post. Is that right? It's not something we're grabbing and looking for, it's something that we will go on.
It's a combination of both, but of yes, of publicly, either publicly available or publicly conveyable information. So just as, for those who aren't aware, under the Montgomery County Code, trial board members in this county are entitled to be paid at a rate of $500 per day that they spend either in trial or in training. So it's something that we have to budget for. So when a request is received and a hearing is going to be scheduled, we can say, yes, we've received a request to appoint a trial board member. The name of the agency, of course, comes with the request. The third piece of information, the link to the agency's posting page, those are publicly accessible pages. All of the agencies that have held or requested trial boards under the MPAA system so far have such a page active, and the content may vary slightly, and the visualization may vary slightly from agency to agency. But folks can, when a hearing is pending, reliably go there and check. For example, if we were to have this process in place, folks could go to Tacoma Parks website, and there's currently a listed upcoming administrative hearing board for October 28th of this year. For agencies that have not yet requested a trial board member or scheduled a trial board, instead we can provide information about how to, assuming that a page isn't ready by the time that they make such a request, can provide other contact information for example, the victim advocate that's required under the MPAA, or to other folks who would be involved in the process who can provide public information about how to attend, whether virtually or physically, any security requirements that a person would have to be aware of. If I understand correctly, MCPD, for example, I believe intends to have trial boards at police headquarters, at least sometimes, so people would have to anticipate going into a police building in order to attend. Other agencies throughout the state have held virtual hearings, so being able to be in contact with the agency is going to be the most reliable way for folks to know the details of these hearings as well. The Administrative Charging Committee will touch the process, and the Police Accountability Board touches the process. The law enforcement agencies are a party to the proceeding from the moment of the complaint until the exhaustion of all appeals. And of course have affirmative responsibilities that in this county that have been followed to make information available.
Can I do a follow-up, just a follow-up then, and just thinking in the parameters of budgeting staff-wise. How much investment of time and work will it be when we get into the area of, one, how long, this information should remain up? I don't know if it's an algorithm thing or not, but, and including if an officer or officers decide not to go through and with it, and the timing of having to wait that piece of information is accurate when in communication with the specific law enforcement agencies. How time involved would that be to the staff and maybe taking away from maybe some of the bigger ticketed items?
It depends on how involved the process is for the page retention. So if to do very frequent updates would likely present an issue. Currently, we are provisioned for 2 staff to support both public bodies and provide background support for the committee's drafting processes and case file importation. We are can't speak too much to any initial review of budget materials that might be submitted internally to the Office of Management Budget and executive for consideration. But for those who have been following any county hearings or other county agencies or in government service yourselves, you know that local budgets are thin this year. Grant funding is thin. That being said, the board can always and should, when it feels appropriate, petition the council directly for additional labor support. If the reasoning for keeping particular lines on the chart get particularly complex, that can drain a lot of staff time. The initial collection of the information is straightforward in that it's something we already have to do for planning and invoicing purposes. Unfortunately, one of the holes in the MPA process is this lack of feedback loops of knowing for certain when these processes end. One option might be to just use a simple timer of just keeping them up for a period of months and updating once per month. So if you keep it open, if you keep a line open for 1 quarter, even if the trial board has not resolved at that point, You've provided notice, you've provided a link to where people can get the actual on-point information. Just so that people don't get lost in case there is, in case something does have to get rescheduled, for example, several times. In addition to those rows where you're saying, here's the date, here's the request, here's the link, you could also have a chart down below saying, here's the agency, here's their chart here's their link to trial boards generally. So if you're not certain if they have a request pending or if we haven't put it up yet, you can always click this link and go to the law enforcement agency's page and you'll have the most up-to-date information.
So, back to Vice Chair.
Yeah, I mean, I think, thank you, Forrest. And I'll open, of course, if other members want to pitch in. From my perspective, I think the most reasonable path forward is first to assess whether the board as a whole would want to move forward with, again, sort of being a hub for this information in the community. And, I think following some of what our administrative director has mentioned, making it not necessarily the only source of information, right? But the information, like a source for information centralized, but that the public can go to the law enforcement agencies themselves for, more accurate information whenever that's available. From our perspective, in terms of this request from the chair and myself, it's more of a matter of, again, transparency with the information and providing a resource to the community and the public that is coming already from the law enforcement agencies. So my motion here would be for the board to consider moving forward with this proposal. And I think the questions of the technical aspects that Forrest have mentioned, to tackle those, as we work through it. But for me, I want to at least try to better understand whether the board is in agreement with the proposal as it stands.
Chair recognizes, looks like Chuck and Gregory both have. I see the smoke coming out, so Chuck, you to go first.
Well, I'd say absolutely. I think that the board should consider doing this. Forrest, I do have a question. You mentioned about the possibility or the challenge of having these requests and eventually getting crowded and thinking about when might be a cutoff, if you will, of having it. Could we not have an archive also, or a link to an archive so that if it goes beyond, let's say, 3 months, 6 months, if what you're looking for is older than that, go to the archive and we'll be able to act as a repository for all of these on a continuous basis?
That I'm not certain of. Could inquire with TEBS. That would, I predict that would greatly increase the labor costs associated. Maintaining an archive, keeping it accurate. If you make it closer with something simpler, like having just a counter per agency, and the bottom chart where you have a resting table of links to each agency. But yeah, I think
That's a short, quick answer, right?
I think, yeah, generating the archive and then generating retention schedules for it, both on the document retention side and on the TEB side, would present a lot of costs.
And I think I just want to add, we're going to have Gregory go. Okay. I think we want to move forward, but in my mind as Vice Chair, I'm talking that we really want this to be more of, and I believe this is the right terminology, more of a public service in our efforts to be transparent. Instead of getting too far down in the weeds, picking up, too much time with technology and having to maintain systems. As I think Forrest even said, we can even have he didn't use the word window, but a graph down below that just says, hey, if you want to follow this, here's the agency and here's their link type of thing. Because we're just, as a public service, we're offering this, but we don't want to get into the weeds where we're making it look or sound like that this is a major part of our mandate and responsibility, and now people are looking for it, and it's not updated, and now we're held accountable to something that's really not really a public service action thing. So I think we want to keep it simple, but I think it is a good thing to show that open transparency between the PAD and the agencies, you know, that we're working together like that, but making sure the public knows what's happening. I don't see any other hand up on, any other member's hand up on the screen. Regular said we can pass, so it's back into the motion that was made. The motion was to move forward.
Yeah, and perhaps I think to make it clear, maybe what we could do is similar to the data and trends ad hoc group, just, you know, refer to an ad hoc group to work with the staff, assuming, you know, so the motion would be to move forward with the proposal and establish an ad hoc group to work with the staff to, you know, be able to make this a reality, essentially.
Copy that. Is there a second?
I second.
Have a second? I don't think there's any more comment. So everyone that heard the motion, and the second, all those in favor? Say aye, or raise your hand, or send your thumbs up on the social thing. I got a hand up there. Any nays?
Feel free to nominate ad hoc.
Okay. And there are no nays. So I think this is kind of a technical type of thing. So, just two people. Can we do a 2-member ad hoc group? I don't want everybody raising their hand at the same time, so how about, Chris, you think this is kind of down in your lane with this, just something simple to create with the, and you get a team member, let's say maybe, Ron, and, just you two work with the staff on, you know, creating something that just allows us to be able to, okay, I see Ron, you agree, Chris, you agree to that, just a 2-man ad hoc? All right, I think I saw your thumbs up, I used my, Steve Austin eye, you just didn't hear the, did I use myself?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you did.
You did date yourself.
Okay, all right.
I was keeping quiet.
All right. Okay, I think, all right, so we have, Chris and Ron, the 2-member team that will work with the staff on moving forward with this, motion, to create this,
Trial board request portal, yeah.
travel request board. Thank you, Chris, thank you, Ron. Is any, I think that's all we have on the open business. Any final comment before we move on? Boris, anything we good?
It was mentioned, but since the next item is a closed session, to make sure that the board doesn't have to jump back onto a public session at the end. The next meeting date is November 20th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Currently slated for the executive office building. Either here in this room or up on the 6th floor, depending on the capacity.
All right. All right. And okay, so, yeah, I'm trying to think, all right, we can get that out, we don't need it. All right, so thank you for us, because we do not want to move in to another open session topic in closed session. So we got that date out. I don't think there's any other announcements that we need to make now that are public before we go into a closed session. I think I have
Yes.
All right, there is first a motion to close this session, to go into a closed session. So, is there a motion to close, this public session? Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. Oh, we did, okay, you're right, I'm sorry. The board convokes a closed session to review administrative charging committee applications pursuant to Maryland Code General Provision, Article 3-305, Article 1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom the public body has jurisdiction, any other personnel matters that affects one or more specific individuals. And did that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So we're making a motion to close the session and then reopen into, I guess we close the session first. So make a motion to close the session for that purpose just read. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I move to closed session.
All right, second? Second. All those in favor, move to close session.
Aye.
Ayes? The ayes have it. Dismiss public, official close.
The same rule.
I'll be right back.
Should we do that? We still get that to the staff? Chris,